David Goggins. You've probably heard of him. The guy's an absolute legend of human achievement. A retired Navy SEAL, an elite ultramarathon runner, a world record holder. But what if I told you the fuel for all this wasn't motivation, or passion, or any of the positive things we're told to chase? What if it was something much, much darker? Well, that is the Goggins paradox.
It all kind of kicks off with this quote: "Everything I do in life, it sucks." I mean, that's not what you expect to hear from someone at the top of their game, is it? It's the very first clue that David Goggins is operating on a completely different frequency than the rest of us.
So to really get the paradox, you first have to understand the myth, right? The popular image of David Goggins is this unstoppable motivation machine, a person just forged from pure, uncut discipline. And when you look at his resume, it's easy to see why we think that. We're talking about a decorated Navy SEAL who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He graduated from Army Ranger School. He runs ultramarathons longer than 200 miles. For fun. He used to hold a world record for doing over 4,000 pull-ups in 17 hours. The list is it's almost unbelievable. Okay, so let's dive into this. Because the reality behind all those feats is the complete and total opposite of what you'd expect. See, the man isn't motivated. He's haunted. But what's really revealing is how he sees himself. Despite all the medals, all the records, Goggins says, and I quote, "I am absolutely the bottom of the barrel." He genuinely sees himself as having zero natural talent, no genetic gifts for any of the things he does. The contrast is, well, it's jarring. And this comparison right here, this shows you the massive canyon between the Goggins we see and the person he came from. The public sees this superhuman strength, but the private reality was a horribly abusive childhood. They see elite endurance, but he was battling severe learning disabilities and ADD. The iron discipline we all admire today, that was born from a man who was once over 300 pounds and, by his own admission, was deeply insecure and lied about everything. And that, right there, that's the whole key. His drive doesn't come from a positive place of wanting to achieve something great. It comes from a dark, relentless need to escape the person he used to be. He is, in his own words, haunted by that man. So, how does this haunting actually translate into action? Well, it creates this brutal but incredibly powerful operating system. It's a mindset that is all stick and absolutely no carrot. So what does that even mean? It means his entire philosophy is driven by the stick, the painful, miserable reality of who he was. It's not about the carrot, the promise of a medal or a record or a bestseller. He says there's never been a carrot. It's all about never, ever, ever going back to being that person. Goggins' whole argument is that we all know what we need to do to get better. The problem isn't that we're missing some secret information. It's that we lack the will to do the things that just plain suck. We're all out here looking for a carrot, some easy hack or a spark of motivation, when we should be embracing the stick. And really, this is the core of it all. Goggins believes words like passion and motivation have become these watered-down distractions. He says there's no magic potion. There is only the disciplined choice to just do the work, especially when it sucks. In fact, that's the whole point. Now, you might think this is all just tough guy talk, right? But here's the kicker. This brutal, seemingly unscientific philosophy is actually backed up by modern neuroscience. It turns out there's a biological basis for embracing the suck. So, neuroscientist Andrew Huberman talks about a part of our brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or AMCC. And you can just think of it as your biological willpower muscle. And the research shows it literally gets bigger and stronger, specifically when you do things you genuinely do not want to do. And this little diagram shows you exactly how it works. Step 1, you force yourself to do something you hate, like Goggins making himself run, because he actually hates running. Step 2, your AMC grows, but here's the paradox. The moment you start enjoying it, or you stop doing it, that willpower muscle shrinks right back down. Friction is the only thing that makes it grow. Which brings us to this really critical warning from Goggins himself. Willpower is a perishable skill. It's not something you earn once and then just have forever. It's a muscle you have to actively train with discomfort every single day, or it just wastes away. Okay, so this all sounds incredibly difficult. I get it. So how can we actually apply this framework to our own lives without, running 200 miles? It all starts with what Goggins calls cleaning your dark cupboards. The starting point isn't some new life hack or a fancy morning routine. According to Goggins, you have to start an internal war. It all begins with a dialogue inside your own head. See, most of us live with just one dominant inner voice. You know the one I'm talking about. It's the one that seeks comfort, avoids pain, and tells us to hit the snooze button. Goggins says you have to consciously build a second, combative voice. This is the voice that challenges you, that calls you on your own BS, that tells you to get up and do the hard thing anyway.
And the entire job of that second voice is to force you to open your dark cupboards. What are those? Those are the places in your mind where you store your deepest insecurities, all your failures, your traumas, and your fears. All the stuff we lock away and pretend doesn't exist.
And this isn't a one-time visit, not a one-and-done deal. You have to spring clean these cupboards daily. You have to confront those demons and insecurities every single day to keep them from controlling your life from the shadows. As he says, you start your day in the dungeon.
So when you boil it all down, it really comes down to two different paths. Most people take the average path. They listen to that comfort-seeking voice and they wait for motivation to strike. But the Goggins path is radically different. It's about creating that second voice, cleaning the dark cupboards daily, and manufacturing your own willpower through deliberate friction, taking action precisely because it feels bad. And ultimately, this whole process isn't about achieving happiness. That's not the goal here. The real goal is to earn an unshakable sense of self by confronting all the parts of you that are weak, insecure, and lazy. You find out who you really are by facing everything you're not.
All right, so let's bring it all together. The Goggins paradox teaches us that true strength isn't built on fleeting motivation, but on constant friction. It teaches us that willpower is a perishable skill that we have to train daily with discomfort, that real progress only begins when we confront our ugliest truths. We have to create that second, combative voice inside our heads. And finally, the work is supposed to suck. That is the entire point. And we'll end on this final, really challenging thought from Goggins. He says your life doesn't truly begin with some big inspiration or a motivational speech. It starts in the mirror. The second you have the courage to be brutally honest with yourself about all of your flaws and all of your failures. That is the real starting line.